I'm Banks.
I'm Josh.
Odd places going.
Viral. Martin Luther King once said, "To ignore evil is to become accomplice to it." And it feels so relevant today for some reason.
Okay, let's take this. Let's dig into this. Define evil.
Bad. Define evil. Worse than bad. Evil. Evil. That's a tough one to define.
I know. I know. I mean,
Not good. I mean, it's all relative. Evil is relative to good. So evil
um,
by definition is not good.
so I think he's a preacher. He was a preacher.
Yeah.
So I think he was using that in a biblical sense. Yeah. I mean, I
Okay,
would go
let's say it was.
biblical. Okay, let's go
Yeah.
biblical on that. So
Bad people doing
biblical.
bad things.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. That's good. So bad people doing bad things. Um, and he said
To ignore that,
to ignore it.
to ignore bad people doing. So you're not taking part in it. You're not actively doing anything evil, but ignoring it is just as evil. You're an accomplice.
Man, that's a tough one morally for me. Uh, because if there is, well, I mean, here you go. I'm going to give you two examples. I'm in the grocery store and there's a crying baby and it's loud, obnoxious. I'm going to stay away from the crying baby. Okay. The baby's not evil. The baby is hungry, tired, whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
If here's another example. If someone is in the store that is stealing food, I would probably go to the clerk and say, "Hey, listen, I don't know if your camera's got this or not," and say, and so that something evil was happening, and I did not just sit there and watch it.
Because if you didn't report it, would you not be an accomplice to that crime? That's really what we're getting at. Would you be an accomplice?
You're right. You're right. You're right. Was the last night? Last night I was at a place and two people were talking and they were a little bit far away, but I could kind of hear a little bit. And the man just got upset and was just yelling at them. And I think they just met. I have no idea. And he's like, "Give me my check, give me my check, give me my check." And I feel the woman was like saying it like what it is, like, "Hey, life is this is what's happening," and this is in regards to what has happened over the last 2 days, mainly 2 days ago, and I I I approached the lady afterwards and I said, "Hey, I want you to come to one of my functions." And I think she's a little bit inebriated. I don't know if she's going to come or not. The point I'm making is that, do we call out the evil? Do we not ignore the evil and have to have confrontations like this? Like this
Well, look,
woman has.
but here's the thing: the confrontation is coming one way or another. That's what we saw in January 6, 2021. The confrontation is coming regardless. The only question is, when will it happen and how bad will it be? See, we could have had the same confrontation instead of January 6th. We could have had it a year earlier during the impeachment process. We could have had the confrontation then and put it out of its misery, but we didn't. And look, and this is what happened. That's my point. It's
Okay.
going to happen. You can't ignore it.
So you're saying there's another one going to happen. It's always going to happen. You're always going to have the confrontation.
Yes, it's just at what stage do you have it? Do you have it early on when you can manage it, or do you let it get out of hand? Because evil doesn't stop. Evil will continue to build on itself.
Well,
It's like a weed garden, right? You
yeah,
have weeds in your garden. When do you want to start pulling weeds? After
right,
the
right.
first one, or after it's taken over?
The mob that did desecrate um,
Capital.
the Capitol. There we go. Um, from what I'm reading now, it was there was a religious push behind it. God told me to do this. I mean, so good and evil. I mean, all of a sudden, who's good and who's evil in this situation? Desecrating the Capitol is desecrating. I mean, that's not good.
No, but that's Republican Jesus or something. I don't know whose God they're talking about. I can take some guesses, but that's
Um,
not any stated God that most people believe in desecrating another person's property and person. 5 people died so far that we know of.
Yeah, yeah. So let's go back to Martin Luther King Jr. He basically said to ignore it. Okay, you are part of it,
You're complicit.
basically. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're part of it. So if you don't stand up and tell the truth, or when that guy is saying something to the woman and the woman's saying, it's crazy, this is the reality, these are the facts, and he gets up to, she has to stand up and go, no, you're wrong, this is the reality, this is the good. That would cause more confrontation. I mean, what
Now,
you're saying, okay, no, go ahead.
so let's run a scenario here.
Okay.
Let's say they just met. Let's say you're right. They just met and they had this confrontation, which was a little heated, right? You said a little bit
Yeah, a
heated.
little heated, yeah.
All right, fine. Let's say she took your approach or another approach and said, you know what? I'm just going to play along. I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. I don't want any confrontation. I'm going to play along. And they go further into their relationship and maybe they get married. And then it becomes violent. Then it becomes something where maybe it's worse. That's what I'm talking about. Let's just hash it out now. If something's wrong, let's go. Let's address it.
Okay, so I think this is what I hear you saying. Hash it out now so it doesn't build up. So this boil, yeah, this boil does not explode and people die. So then we're back to this idea of reality, of what is reality, because there's like two realities in our country right now. And the point of, no, you're lying, or no, you know, you're talking about, I mean, at some point, whoever wins and go, okay, we won, move on. Okay, we won, move on. And instead of hanging on to that, I mean, I think maybe the culprit is that we just keep on hanging on to it. No, I'm one.
You know what we're missing? And I think this is for another episode. We need to talk about this. People ask me, like, how do you determine what's good, what's bad? Very, very simple. Actually, it's so ridiculously simple. It's called the golden rule. And I know it's cliche, but if you actually listen and follow the golden rule and understand it, it's a clear delineation between good and bad. Clear as day, crystal clear. There is no ambiguity whatsoever.
And the golden rule is do unto others as you want to be done to.
Correct. So you swap roles, right? So
yeah.
Now, what if Trump had won? How would they expect the other side to react? And would they have had a problem had the other side gone into the case? It's that simple.
Yeah,
that simple.
That is a pretty good rule. I mean, I always, you know, there was a show that I was going to do once, and I was going to have everybody come in and take off their shoes.
Ooh.
And then
yeah. Oh, that's a smellathon right there. That's interesting.
Tie them together so they're together. Throw them in a circle, and then everybody had to go in and get a different pair of shoes, and then they had to wear someone else's shoes during this talk, symposium, whatnot.
Do they have to walk a mile also?
No, yeah. I mean, you know, that's where I'm going with this. The point is, the point is, you have to be in someone else's to feel the way they feel. And granted, I am not black, and I will probably never be black, and I have no idea what happens with a black person. I can only anticipate, and not anticipate. I can only presume because of what has happened. And yeah, it's scary. I can't walk a mile in his shoes or her.
But you can imagine what it's like to be black. You can say, well, how would I feel if I were in that person's position? Or if that were my mom? If that were my mom's black. My mom was going through this. How would I feel about it? And if you don't feel good about it, then you shouldn't feel good about anyone else other than your mom going through it.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I'm not very actually passionate about this. I just wanted to bring it up for a light chat. Can you tell?
Yeah, yeah. Uh, yeah, yeah, golden rule. I'm Banks.
I'm Josh.
Places going
I don't
viral.